Hello, everybody. My name is Burrito Billy, and welcome back to saying the president's name 100 times. Once again, we are at it with the 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt, and today we're going to start off with the simple comments, work our way to the 5 facts, and then we'll hit it off with 100 times of saying the president's name. So, let's start off with the comments. We have one comment from the cult of Toffer, and it says here, "You should just stop." LMAO. And to that I say, you should... Never mind. He's a Twitch streamer. Everyone subscribe to his channel right now. Alright. I do appreciate the comments, though. Even if they're telling me to stop. But I'm like, I can't stop. This is like the Queen song, "Don't Stop Me Now." I can't get copyright. I can't sing the rest of that. So, we're on the 26th. So, Theodore Roosevelt. You were born on October 27th, 1858, New York, U.S. This is like double times. I searched up. He is second of 4 children born into a socially prominent family of Dutch and English ancestry. He graduated from Harvard College in 1880. He then studied Columbia Law School, but then turned his focus to writing and politics as a career. He became a national hero to come from the Spanish-American War. He is known as the leaders of the cavalry, known as the Rough Riders. And a little side note, a little off topic, but has anyone seen that one episode of Clarence where they're at this Rough Riders chicken salad, or how about chicken salad? That's what they order. Rough Riders chicken, because it's just funny because I just have this epiphany of like, oh my gosh, they're good. I think it's just like a reference, but it's just like the moment I saw Rough Riders, I thought of that one episode from Clarence. And it's just like, yeah. I don't think it was the episode. I think it was like a YouTube poop or something. I think it was Clarence Scotty Bolai or something. Either way, that's what I thought of when I saw Rough Riders. And then it says here he died on January 6th, 1919. Oyster Bay, New York, a few months after he turned 60 years old. And for those of you who don't know, Teddy Roosevelt was also in the movie called The Night of the Museum. It also starred the person who would be the guy in Zoolander who would say, "You're excused, and I'm not your bra." Anyways, off to saying the president's name 100 times. This is Theodore Roosevelt. Let me pull up my counter. Let's see. So, I can't burp. I just ate a bunch of burritos. And I can't burp. This is the worst pain imaginable. I didn't even get Baja Blast either. This is so disappointing. But this will all change when I say his name 100 times. So with that being said, let's go. Theodore Roosevelt. 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 That is 10. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. And that is 20. Theodore Roosevelt, 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 Theodore Roosevelt. And that is 30. Scratching my head. Okay. Theodore Roosevelt. 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 That's 40. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. And that is 50. Theodore Roosevelt, 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 Theodore Roosevelt. Sorry. Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. That's 60. Theodore Roosevelt, 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 Theodore Roosevelt. Oh my gosh, sorry, burritos. That's 70. Theodore Roosevelt, 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 and that is 80. Theodore Roosevelt, 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 Theodore Roosevelt. That is 90. Final stretch. Theodore Roosevelt, 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 and Theodore Roosevelt. And that is 100. Thank you all for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed watching the video or listening to the audio. And with that being said, that's all I really got for you. Subscribe to the Cult of Tougher. Otherwise, I will subscribe to his channel and then subscribe to my channel. If you don't, I will sneak into your house and take all your Baja Blast. So, yeah, that's about it. See ya.